I'm sure this has happened to you at some point. You're at home and, all of a sudden, a headache or a stomachache shows up. You head to the cabinet for your herbal teas and realize you're out. Now, if I told you that you can set up a small herbal tea first aid kit on your balcony, on the patio, or right by the kitchen window with just a few pots, well, you might not expect that. Today we'll walk through 11 aromatic plants you probably recognize by name, though maybe you've never thought of them for sleeping a little better, settling a stomachache, or easing a mild cold. They don't replace medical treatment, but used properly, they can offer small day-to-day supports. And the best part? They're fairly easy to grow at home, even with limited space. So, get comfortable. At Senior Garden Club, we'll show you how to plant and use each one. Before we get into each plant, let me be clear from the start. Everything here is for calm, at-home use. Gentle infusions, cooking recipes, small moments of well-being. If you live with a chronic condition, take daily medication, or want to use plants with a more therapeutic goal, talk with your doctor or pharmacist first. And if you have a strong infection, a lot of pain, high fever, or any worrying symptom, these plants should never replace a professional visit. That said, let's enjoy what they bring. Good flavor, a rich aroma, and a quiet pause in the middle of the day. We'll start with a classic from herbalists, Echinacea, Echinacea purpurea. That striking purple flower with the cone-shaped brown-orange center. Very common in North American gardens. It's a perennial, so it can come back each year. And in the garden, it's not only pretty, it draws in bees and butterflies. It's used mostly for colds and mild respiratory infections, as it seems to gently regulate the immune system. The scientific evidence isn't outstanding, but it's solid enough to show up in many guides. Always as support, never as the main treatment. If you want Echinacea in a pot, choose a deep container, about 10 to 12 inches, with good drainage. It doesn't need rich soil. In fact, it prefers fairly poor or moderately fertile, well-drained soil, and it can handle some lime. Full sun, moderate watering, and once established, it tolerates a dry spell for a bit. If you remove the dried flowers, it keeps blooming longer, so you get more of those purple cones. At home, people usually use the above-ground parts and the dried flowers in a gentle infusion, or prepared tinctures. Most guides suggest using it for weeks, not for months on end. If you're allergic to the Asteraceae family, chamomile, daisies, ragweed, be cautious with Echinacea. And again, never in place of antibiotics or other medical treatment in serious infections. During pregnancy and breastfeeding, better to avoid it unless a health professional advises otherwise. There just isn't enough clear safety data. Now to something fresher and well-known. Peppermint, Mentha piperita. A hybrid mint, very aromatic. That cool taste that clears the nose and makes the chest feel open. Traditionally used for heavy digestion, gas, nausea, and those colicky pains after a big meal or from nerves. Its oil in capsules, always with professional supervision, has been studied as support in irritable bowel syndrome. If you grow mint at home, one rule matters. Keep it in a pot. In the ground, it turns invasive. The roots run fast, and it pops up where you don't want it. Use a pot 8 to 12 inches deep, with fertile soil that holds some moisture, but drains well. It likes gentle sun or partial shade, and watering that keeps the soil slightly moist, no puddles. Trim the tips now and then, so it stays compact and full. To use it, 1 teaspoon of fresh or dried leaves per cup is enough. Let the infusion sit covered a few minutes before drinking. It mixes well with chamomile or lemon balm in digestion teas. As tea, it's usually quite safe, but problems show up with essential oils or very high doses. More reflux, heartburn, stomach irritation, allergic reactions. If you have reflux or a hiatal hernia, notice how it sits with you. Mint can make symptoms worse for some. And essential oils, especially for small children, only with professional guidance. Close to peppermint is spearmint, Mentha spicata, what many call herba buena at home. Softer aroma, less intense, which is why it's used so much in teas and cooking. Traditional uses are much like peppermint: mild digestive issues, indigestion, gas, mild diarrhea, small stomach discomfort. It's even been studied for possible effects on certain hormones in women with polycystic ovary syndrome, which is a more delicate topic, best handled with a health professional. Grow it the same way as peppermint. A large pot is better, since it also invades in the ground. Gentle sun or partial shade. Regular watering to keep the soil moist, but not wet. It's forgiving. Trim it and it bounces back, and it tolerates a mist watering here and there. At home, use fresh leaves for classic spearmint tea, alone or with green tea. You can dry the leaves and keep them in a jar for winter. It's a digestive herb, helps with gas, and gently eases cramps. Precautions are similar to peppermint. It can trigger allergies in people sensitive to Lamiaceae, the mint family, and in some, it can worsen reflux. With oils or concentrated supplements, be very careful if there are liver or kidney problems, or during pregnancy and breastfeeding. Next, a lemon-scented plant from the mint family. Lemon balm, Melissa officinalis. A perennial with soft leaves that release a clean lemon smell when you rub them. Traditionally used to relieve mild stress, anxiety, nervousness, trouble sleeping, and the digestive discomfort that shows up when we're tense. For pots, plant in spring or fall, ideally from a cutting or small started plant. A 10 to 12-inch pot works well. It spreads underground, so in the ground it can pop up everywhere and become invasive. For light, full sun or light partial shade. Soil should drain well and have some nutrients. It doesn't handle waterlogging, so water moderately and let the soil dry a bit between waterings. Light, frequent pruning keeps it bushy, and you'll get young shoots, the most fragrant ones. For infusion, 1 to 2 teaspoons per cup. Steep about 10 minutes. Good in the afternoon or at night. You'll often find it mixed with chamomile and lavender in relaxing blends. It has a gentle sedative, anxiolytic effect, helps you settle, and can make it easier to fall asleep while easing gas and nervous stomach discomfort. In general, lemon balm is well tolerated, and regular use hasn't shown important liver issues. Still, like any plant acting on the nervous system, avoid high doses for long stretches, especially if you already take medications for sleep, anxiety, or thyroid. Now from tender leaves to a woodier shrub, just as aromatic, lemon verbena, Aloesia citrodora. Very intense, clear lemon smell. Step close and you could be in a kitchen with a citrus dessert. Used as an infusion for heavy digestion, gas, mild nervousness, and to lift your mood on gray days. In North America, if winters are cold where you live, keep lemon verbena in a pot so you can bring it in or protect it from frost. It doesn't handle cold. It loves direct sun and very well-drained soil, leaning drier than moist. Water moderately and avoid standing water. A yearly pruning keeps it compact and pushes new growth. At home, people use the leaves fresh or dried in infusions, alone or mixed. It also perfumes desserts and some savory dishes. Effects are gentle, aids digestion, slightly calms spasms, adds a relaxing touch. In normal teas and cooking, it's considered safe, though in excess and over time, it can irritate the stomach in some. So listen to your body and don't push it if it doesn't sit well. Speaking of citrus aroma, another favorite, lemongrass, Cymbopogon citratus. An aromatic grass widely used in Asian cooking, and more common now in pots and gardens because it looks good and smells strongly of lemon. In herbal use, it's taken for difficult digestion, spasms, mildly high blood pressure, anxiety, and as gentle antimicrobial support. It's a tropical or subtropical plant. If winters are cold, keep it in a large pot and protect it against a sheltered wall or indoors with good light. It needs lots of sun and heat, rich soil that drains very well, and regular watering with the top layer drying between waterings. It multiplies easily by dividing the clump. Once established, you can get more plants from it. For homemade teas, use the leaves or the tender base of the stalk. Crush a bit before adding hot water so it releases more aroma. Experimental studies suggest antispasmodic effects, slight pain relief, and some antimicrobial action, but at home it's best to use it with moderation and common sense. In the amounts used in infusions or cooking, lemongrass is fairly safe. Problems show up with very high doses of concentrated extracts. Animal studies have seen stomach irritation and liver damage. It's also often advised to avoid high doses during pregnancy, since it may stimulate the uterus. So if you're pregnant, keep it moderate. No heavy amounts or frequent use. Now to a plant that's in almost every pantry: chamomile, German and Roman. Different species used much the same in daily life. Those small white and yellow flowers bring a steady, gentle effect. Digestion support, gas relief, mild cramps eased. Also taken to relax a bit and sleep better on nights when rest is hard. Personally, it's the infusion I reach for most. I use it 2 or 3 times a week. In the garden or in a pot, chamomile can act like an annual or a short-lived perennial. Most practical is to sow each spring. It prefers temperate climates, plenty of sun, and well-drained soil with light watering and no puddles. To use, cut the flowers and dry them, then make infusions. At home, 1 teaspoon of flowers per cup. Steep a few minutes, that's enough. It's generally well tolerated and helps with mild digestive discomfort and mild anxiety or nerves. The main caution is allergy risk if you're sensitive to other Asteraceae like ragweed or certain chrysanthemums. And during pregnancy and breastfeeding, information isn't very clear, so don't overdo it. Keep it moderate. Along with lemon balm, another favorite in relaxing blends is lavender, Lavandula angustifolia. A Mediterranean shrub, very aromatic. Many grow it simply because the purple flowers are pretty and draw bees. It's used a lot in aromatherapy and, to a lesser extent, as an infusion for mild anxiety, nerves, and some sleep problems. If you want lavender in a pot, imitate the Mediterranean. Lots of sun, very well-drained soil with sand or gravel, and a pot wider than deep. Lavender does poorly with excess water. Better to water sparingly and let the soil dry well between times. At home, if you use it as an infusion, keep to a small amount of dried flowers, or simply enjoy the aromatic steam without drinking. Clinically, some lavender oil preparations have shown benefits for mild generalized anxiety, but that kind of use should be supervised by a health professional. Taken by mouth in high doses, lavender can cause nausea, diarrhea, burping. And like all essential oils, never take it pure or put it on mucous membranes. A lavender plant on the nightstand or a dried bundle in the bedroom can help as much as a cup. Just a quiet reminder to slow down at the end of the day. Back to Mediterranean aromatics you likely use in the kitchen: rosemary, sage, thyme, and oregano. We'll start with rosemary, Salvia rosmarinus. A shrub with thin, dark green leaves, very aromatic, used for centuries as a seasoning. And many don't realize it's also considered helpful for memory, concentration, digestion, and muscle pain, thanks to antioxidant and anti-inflammatory properties. Growing it is straightforward. It loves full sun, poor, well-drained soil, and tolerates drought nicely. Too much water harms it more than dryness. In a pot, it adapts well if you give the roots some room and keep water from pooling at the bottom. At home, the usual is fresh or dried leaves in cooking, and occasionally a light infusion when you want help with digestion or to warm up. Used in typical cooking amounts, it's very safe. Trouble tends to come from very concentrated extracts or essential oil in high amounts, which can irritate, trigger seizures, or interact with medications. Keep it to cooking and gentle infusions, and you'll enjoy the aroma and benefits without needless risk. Sage, Salvia officinalis, is similar to rosemary in that it's Mediterranean and thrives in sun with little water. Slightly velvety leaves, strong smell, intense taste. Traditionally used for heavy digestion, to reduce excessive sweating, for mouth and throat inflammation in rinses and infusions, and even some menopause symptoms. In the garden, it behaves like rosemary: sun, well-drained soil, very light watering. In a pot, it does wonderfully. as long as we don't overwater. At home, use the leaves in gentle infusions or as a gargle for an irritated throat. Always as support, never as a substitute for treatment prescribed by a doctor. There's interest in its antioxidant and digestive effects, and in possible support for cognitive function. But here's an important detail. Sage contains thujone, which in high amounts can affect the nervous system. So strong doses or long-term use of concentrated preparations aren't a good idea. During pregnancy and breastfeeding, medicinal doses aren't recommended. In those cases, stick to culinary use, and with caution. Thyme, Thymus vulgaris, and oregano, Oreganum vulgare, go hand in hand in the kitchen and in the pot. I group them because their needs are nearly the same. Thyme, with its small leaves and intense scent, is used in infusions for cough, colds, and digestion, and it's recognized for antimicrobial and antioxidant properties. Oregano, the star of so many pizzas and sauces, also carries oils with antimicrobial and anti-inflammatory effects, and it's long been used for digestive discomfort. For growing, both want strong sun, dry, stony soils, and very modest watering. Soil that's rich and damp weakens them. On balconies and patios in North America, they usually do well in sunny planters, often alongside rosemary and sage. At home, their leaves are mainly for seasoning and for gentle infusions, say when you want to help digestion or accompany a mild cold. Culinary use is safe. The issue, again, is essential oil, very concentrated and able to irritate skin and mucous membranes if handled carelessly. If taken internally, it should only be with professional guidance. As you can see, with these plants, you've essentially built a small, herbal tea garden for any patio or balcony, for those days when you'd rather not run out to buy tea. If you've made it this far, you probably won't look at that supermarket pot of mint, or the sprig of rosemary for roast chicken, the same way. With a few well-placed pots, you can put together a simple, practical corner of well-being for everyday life, where each leaf and flower adds a small gesture of care. Remember, these are gentle supports, not miracle treatments. For any serious health problem, your doctors are still the reference. But for a heavy digestion, a tense afternoon, or a mild cold, these plants can be good company. If this video was useful, you can subscribe to Senior Garden Club, tell us in the comments which plants you use, and share it with someone who enjoys their garden or balcony. We'll be here, tending that green space we all like to come back to.